What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/fatlogic fiesta, taking a look at a couple of posts that I found funny or interesting, sharing my opinions on them, and having a few giggles. This is episode 158 in the fatlogic series. And I've got some juicy posts lined up for us to sink our teeth into. So without further delay, let's get into it.
I've always wanted to be admired for being big, but I have always associated that with pregnancy. Other big bellies are seen as eyesores and unattractive. The next time you praise a pregnant person for their belly, ask yourself when you last complimented a fat person for their body. Obviously, I know the reasons behind why this is our reality, and obviously I'm not blaming people who love complimenting pregnant bellies. Just as a caveat, also this is not me fishing for compliments lol. Just expressing frustration. Do not feel like you need to compliment me. Also, sorry, one last thing. My back hurts all the time. The way I stand is directly related to how much weight I am carrying in my belly. And the ways I stand to try and counteract that weight. Would love to have that pain validated. The way pregnant pain is rightly validated.
Ha ha ha, what on earth? This can't be real, right? They're really asking people to admire and compliment their big bellies in the way that they would a pregnant woman with a baby bump. And they want people to validate the discomfort they feel from being so fat that it physically hurts them, in the way that they would validate the discomfort pregnant women feel from, carrying around a fricking baby. Jesus Christ, man, I can't. These fat activists are just too damn goofy. I'm almost in tears at the sheer hilarity of it all. If this post is genuine, which I'm guessing it is, then I suppose I should offer a more substantive response than simply laughing and pointing. Sirrah, here it is. First of all, most people, and I'm talking like 99% here, are not interested in hearing people compliment them on how big their bellies are. In fact, for most normal people, that would be absolutely mortifying. So I think the main reason why people don't compliment fat people on how fat they are is because they know that they would be more likely to upset the recipients of these apparent compliments than uplift them, and because they're not looking to get decked, haha. Moreover, insofar as people feel comfortable praising pregnant women's bellies, which, for what it's worth, I would be pretty hesitant to do myself, they are comfortable doing it because the women are not just fat. They have a baby growing inside them, which is something that a lot of people find admirable or worthy of praise. Just being fat, and having a big belly, on the other hand, is something that few people actually aspire towards, and lots of people feel deep embarrassment over, so it only stands to reason that people would be more willing to praise pregnant bellies than fat ones, though once again, I wouldn't do either myself, because even thin pregnant women can be sensitive about how their bellies look. And it's probably best to err on the side of caution in most cases. Along similar lines, people are likely to validate the discomforts and pains of pregnancy because they view the pregnancy process as worthwhile and necessary, and the sacrifices that women make in this regard as worthy of recognition. But simply being obese is not necessary. It is self-imposed, and it doesn't contribute to anything positive or meaningful. Sirrah, remind me why people would go out of their way to validate that again. Don't get me wrong, I do agree that fat people deserve compassion when they're in pain. Because pain is pain, and we're all human beings. But I really don't think the comparison to pregnancy makes sense, when being fat doesn't serve any higher purpose. And you can always just lose weight if you don't want to deal with that discomfort anymore. In summary, this post is utterly bananas and hilarious. It makes no sense, shows absolutely zero social awareness, and seems deliberately engineered to get clowned on. I love it, haha. Anyway, moving on.
As I always say, temporarily ex-fat people, who believe their current smaller body to be superior in every way to their previous larger body, are expressing internalized anti-fat bias. There is no such thing as stigma against intentional weight loss. Intentional weight loss is the status quo, and the mainstream path that is celebrated in this extremely fat-hating world. Intentional weight loss is what people expect of fat people, and a path that is encouraged by everyone. So of course you will be applauded by the majority of people. Intentional weight loss is, in and of itself, an expression of anti-fat bias. And it is not stigma. To highlight this, the real stigma and social vitriol is directed towards fat people who do not, and cannot, adhere to this extremely harmful fatphobic expectation.
Ha ha wow, temporarily ex-fat people ha. Bitter much. Imagine how badly these people would react if you told them that some of those fat people aren't just temporarily thin, they're actually going to stay thin, because they have sustainable healthy habits, and the discipline to stick with them. I figure that their heads would probably explode. Because if there's one thing that a fat activist simply cannot deal with, under any circumstances, it's the fact that other people have agency, and manage to succeed where they repeatedly fail. How sad. This post really doesn't serve much of a purpose, other than whining and vacuous self-soothing, so I'm not going to spend too long going through it word by word. I guess my overall response is that yes, intentional weight loss is generally socially encouraged, where intentional fatness is not, but there is a perfectly understandable reason for that. And society would not be better off from encouraging people to give up on weight loss and embrace obesity. So fat activists can paint themselves as edgy outsiders, going against the grain, all they like, but that will not make their lifestyle any more healthy, fulfilling, or sustainable. So adopting this stance doesn't really amount to much when you get right down to it. And as for intentional weight loss being anti-fat bias, yeah, get the frick out of here, man. People are allowed to decide what they want their body to look like, and it's not a crime to not want to be fat. If these same people go out of their way to bully, marginalize, or discriminate against fat people, then by all means, go off, but making their personal decisions about the diet and lifestyle into some kind of attack on fat people is completely unreasonable. Or to put it another way, mind your own shit, and stop causing drama over nothing. Okay. Cool. On to the next post.
There's a link between the squeedophilic gene and liking skinny women. The squeedo gene also codes for small squeenesses, so a big girl would have less chance of getting pregnant. Hence the avoidance. Some of us don't have that problem.
Brah, it's okay to like thin women. Some of us can't help that shit. I'm tall, so it's hard to gain weight. My mom's in her 50s, has had 2 kids, and is still slim like me. Some of us just aren't built to carry excess weight. It's literally in my genes. Most of the women in my family are tall and slender.
Holy guacamole. This might actually be the #1 worst post I've ever seen on fatlogic. I'm dead serious here. This is just awful, and I wish I could go back in time, or scrub my memory, so that I didn't have to live with the knowledge that people like this exist. But I can't do either of those things. So here we are, I guess. I know that these fat activists have a hard time accepting that some people aren't attracted to them. But going so far as to suggest that anyone who prefers thin women must be a squeedophile and have a small squeeness is just way beyond the pale. It's a load of pseudoscientific rubbish. It's disgusting, and it's completely fricking unnecessary. Like, Jesus Christ, just suck it up. Some people don't want to have sex with you. It's not the end of the fricking world. And it sure as shit doesn't mean that they're creeps or losers or perverts or whatever. So instead of coming up with BS theories to rationalize away other people's completely legitimate preferences and shame them into going after you instead, Why not go and find someone who actually wants to have sex with you? Crazy thought, I know, but there it is. And if you refuse to do that, then all I have left to say is, you guys are the icky creeps. 110%. And no amount of pathetic shit like this is ever going to change that. Believe me.
Belief based on racist, sexist, and elitist bias. 90% of weight differences are based on genetics.
No, you can't eat properly. Literally exercise, and eat less, and you'll lose weight.
Wake up, honey. All women, and I mean, all women, and most people, have done that. It doesn't work. 95% of diets don't work. People hit plateaus all the time. And most significant weight losses in people don't last for more than 5 years. If they did for you, that means you're blessed genetically. Wake up and acknowledge your privilege. You don't have to face haters like she's facing you right now. She's been overweight/obese since she was a little girl. She's tried everything, including weight loss surgery, and developed eating disorders. Weight does not equal health, and her looks don't decide or indicate her health. My skinny friends have always been skinny. And despite being a dancer, I have always been fat. It's how the world is. Take off your tinted glasses and join us. Not to mention, who are you to tell us to eat less? 1,200 calories, or literally the amount needed to sustain a toddler. And we are not toddlers. Eating more or less does not make you more or less healthy. Your thinking is what causes so many people to die of anorexia, starvation, or commit suicide due to body image issues. Most deaths due to psychiatrical disorders stem from eating disorders. Your kind of thinking is killing people.
Yes, Queen. We are beautiful, and our bodies will not be shamed.
My thinking isn't killing people. People just want to hide behind excuses.
No point in being weighed. Weight is an important health metric, whether we're talking about gain or loss.
What if we're talking about neither? Because weight is not the most important factor in determining a person's health, unless they have a disorder that specifically requires a close eye on weight, such as diabetes, eating disorders, PCOS, high blood pressure, cancer, significant mental health issues that cause weight changes independent of lifestyle, and so on. There's no medical need to weigh someone. If a person's health and blood work is completely fine, weight doesn't tell them anything. I speak this as someone who has been raised by 2 doctors and has significant experience with chronic illness and health issues herself. My weight was never a factor, and I was never forced to check my weight by all the doctors I've ever had, because it never told them anything about my health. Did you not hear me say I've been a dancer for 18 years? And have you not read any of the latest studies on eating disorders, weight loss and genes, and literally everything else I just mentioned? I don't wish to hide behind excuses, because I'm trying to come forward and openly confront you with facts and science. And you want to hide behind your lifetime conditioning of fatphobic views. Because if what I say is true, then that means that your lifelong struggle and desire to be thin is no longer justified. Weight doesn't matter, health does, and weight does not equal health. One of the best dancers I've seen, who is so incredibly fast, strong, and skilled in dancing, is morbidly obese, but she's amazing, and almost always placed at the front of group dances. Could you please name some medical conditions you know of that are directly caused from weight gain only? Things like heart disease, stroke, and so on, that you hear about in certain studies. Their risk is predicted to be correlated with weight gain, not directly caused by it. An important distinction in scientific conclusions most people don't pay attention to. What a lot of the most popular studies fail to mention is that there is a difference between types of fat. The most dangerous type of fat that causes health issues is visceral fat. That surrounds the organs, and it's something that anyone at any weight can have, unless they're severely food deprived. Being obese can lead to more health risks, but so can drinking, weed, an office job, eating red meat, and so many other things that are a regular part of the North American lifestyle. In fact, having an ice cream is more directly linked to diabetes than simply gaining weight. Do you shame people who drink and eat sugar as much as you do fat people? If not, that's fat phobia.
Good lord, that was exhausting. I swear, man, if people like this poster put as much effort into losing weight as they did into convincing themselves of obvious nonsense, they'd be at a healthy weight within a week. Like the number of copes and distractions and pointless anecdotes in this post, that even in combination amount to basically nothing, is astounding, and I can't help but feel a little sorry for the person who wrote it all. Because it can't be easy living one's life in a state of such deep denial. There's way too much here for me to respond to it all. And a lot of the points are ones that we've seen a million times regardless. So I think I'll just proceed by picking out a few things from the post that stood out to me, and offering my thoughts on them. 1. I find it pretty weird how this post suggests that dieting, or maintaining a healthy weight, is difficult if not impossible for most women. Using the classic, 95% of diets fail line, of course. But when you think about it, like, most women actually aren't fat. Especially outside of America. So clearly, being thin as a woman is not the insurmountable challenge that the poster wants to portray it as. It's perfectly attainable. It just requires one to develop healthy habits and exercise some degree of discipline in relation to one's diet. Putting thinness down to some kind of rare genetic privilege not only fails to reflect the statistical reality of most women's weights and the real science of how weight gain occurs, but it also totally negates the agency that women have in shaping their own destiny when it comes to their bodies. Sarah, not great. 2. I found this post's attempt to explain away the health impact of obesity equally strange. Like, it basically says that if you ignore a bunch of the most serious common issues associated with obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, etc., then weight doesn't matter, which still isn't true, mind you, but also, if obesity increases your chances of developing those conditions and makes you suffer from them more severely, then why would we just ignore obesity? Surely that would be a reason to take it seriously and do something about it. Right, make it make sense, haha. 3. It was pretty funny to me how the poster proudly boasted that they were bringing facts and science to the table, then almost immediately followed up with the anecdote about the morbidly obese dancer. Like, I really don't think that a personal account of something that we have no way of verifying, following the poster's subjective perception of what qualifies as impressive dancing, is particularly compelling, and more importantly, it doesn't tell us anything at all about said dance's health, one way or another, so that was a bit of a sad failure, if you ask me, and not the sort of thing that one would have to bring up at all. If the facts and science were really on their side, as this poster wants us to believe. And 4. The craziest thing of all is that after all of the BS, all of the distractions, and all of the tangential nonsense, this post actually ends up conceding that being obese can lead to more health risks. Before, of course, once again flailing around in search of a distraction, this time in the form of a bunch of other stuff that also brings health risks. All I wanted to say at that point was, yeah, okay, if you've admitted it, can we cut the BS? Why go to all that effort to negate the health risks in the first part of the post, only to concede the point by the end anyway? If you're admitting that obesity brings health risks, that's enough for me. Let's do something about it. Obviously, stuff like drinking and eating too much red meat can also bring health issues, and I'm happy for there to be a discussion around that. But those are not reasons to ignore obesity. So when you get right down to it, there's no real reason for this post to even exist. Obesity is unhealthy. You know it, I know it, and everyone watching knows it. So why don't we quit playing these stupid games and see what we can do to help obese people lose weight? It only makes sense. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you had a blast reading through these posts with me, and that my commentary offered some added value. What do you think? Should fat people be admired? and complimented for their big bellies. Are people who appear to succeed in their diets really only temporarily ex-fat? Are people who like thin women squeedophiles with small squeezes? Does the existence of a morbidly obese dancer totally negate the health risks associated with obesity? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll write a long, romantic poem dedicated to your big belly and read it aloud in front of a jam-packed stadium with your face on the big screen the whole time. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.